The title of my speech Is Our Planet Running Out of Fresh Water? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever thought about where the water contained in a can of Coca Cola comes from? In India, for instance, part of that water contained in a Coca Cola can could be treated rainwater, whereas in the Maldives, it could be treated seawater. The water content in these cans has to come from different sources for the following reason. Our planet is running out of fresh water. Indeed, the world is facing a fresh water crisis. You may wonder how possibly there could be a fresh water crisis in the world when 70% of our Earth's surface is covered with water. The answer to the question is that almost 98% of the water covering our Earth's surface is seawater, water which is not fit for human consumption. And the remainder of freshwater sources we do have are under severe pressure because our planet's population keeps growing at a staggering rate. According to estimates, demand for water will increase even further in the next few decades because agriculture will require more water for feeding an ever-growing population. Scientists from NASA have revealed that many of the world's freshwater sources are being drained faster than they can be replenished. Let me briefly go over the main freshwater sources we have in our planet. Glaciers and ice caps account for almost 69% of our fresh water. Another 30% of our freshwater supply comes from groundwater or aquifers. The remaining 1% of our freshwater supply comes from surface water found in lakes, swamps, and in rivers. Aquifers are our planet's underground reservoirs of water, and they are being depleted because of sustained pumping practices. Reports show that 21 out of the 37 largest aquifers in the world are receding. And this is happening both in the East and in the West, in countries like India and China, but also in the United States and France. People rely heavily on groundwater as the main source for obtaining drinking water as well as for irrigating their crops. In order to help you understand the rate at which groundwater is being depleted, I'll give you an example. Let us compare this groundwater supply with money which is being stored in a bank account. If the money stored in a bank account is being withdrawn at a rate faster than new money being deposited into that account, the situation eventually could lead to a problem of cash supply. In the same manner, pumping water out of the ground at a rate faster than it can be replenished can eventually lead to a similar problem in the long term. A good example of an aquifer being depleted at a frightening rate is the basin of the river Ganges in India. This basin is being depleted at a rate of 6.31 centimeters a year. A possible consequence of a severe freshwater shortage in the world could be the outbreak of wars. In fact, some social scientists have suggested that the triggering factor leading to the civil war in Syria was a severe water shortage. Between 2005 and 2007, Syria experienced one of the worst droughts ever recorded in its history. A drought that led to crop failures in many rural areas. As a result, hundreds of thousands of people had to leave their farmlands behind and migrate to bigger cities, which led to pressure in these cities and eventually gave rise to the civil war in the country. The future, however, may not be that bleak. Some countries have come up with impressive solutions which the rest of the world can learn from. One of these countries is Israel, which has set up an innovative wastewater treatment facility near Tel Aviv, where effluent water and household sewage is recycled and used later on for irrigating the lands. At present, 40% of the water needed in Israel for agriculture is being supplied in this manner. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, water is a priceless commodity. Let us therefore be aware of how we use every single drop of this very precious resource.